Graduates, friends, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Donald McEwen and I'm the chaplain to the university, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this graduation celebration ceremony at the University of St Andrews on this exciting day for you. Presiding at today's ceremony is the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Dame Sally Mapstone. In a few moments, the academic procession will enter the hall. To welcome the academic procession, members of St Salvator's Chapel Choir will lead us in singing the Gaudiamus. Please do join in. The words can be found in your programme. Now, we don't anticipate this, but should the fire alarm sound, please remain seated. The alarm will be silenced and staff will immediately investigate the cause of the activation. Should an evacuation be necessary, then the alarm will sound continuously and you'll be advised of the need to evacuate. Staff will direct you accordingly. Please follow staff direction and leave the hall by the most appropriate exit. Now, in the absence of that taking place, at the end of the ceremony, all our newly confirmed graduates will join the academic procession, leaving the younger hall and walking along North Street and entering St Salvator's quadrangle through the archway. To supporters here, please wait until all the graduates have left the hall. Ushers will then show you to the nearest exits. Outside, you will be directed to the quad where you'll be able to join our graduates. Please ensure that your mobile phone is switched off or at least is on silent. And you are welcome to take pictures and video footage, but please stay seated to do so. And now, to capture this unique moment, our official photographer will now take a photograph of those taking part today before the ceremony begins.
Hiya, good morning, welcome back, class of 2021. Official photographer, official phone camera. Extra wide lens for your extra wide smiles this morning. Okay, let's see what we've got. I can see everybody in here, so let's see your smiles. Excellent, are you ready? There we go, and another one. Superb. Enjoy your day.
You can't be the only ceremony that doesn't give George a round of applause. All right. Anyway, thank you very much for your attention. I hope you enjoy the graduation celebration ceremony. As you are able, please rise for the Gaudiamus. Oremus. Omnipotens et aeterni Deus, actiones nostras omnes aspirando praeveni, et adjuvando prosequere, ut cuncta nostra operatio, et praesertim hoc quod nunc agredimur opus, a te incipiat, et per te queptum finiatur, quatenus sanctum nomen tuum glorificemus, et misericordia tua vitam aeternam consequamur, per Iesum Christum Dominum nostrum. Amen.
Please be seated. Good morning, everybody. It is my happy duty as Principal and Vice-Chancellor to welcome you to this summer graduation ceremony at the University of St. Andrews. Graduation is the highlight of our academic year. At these ceremonies, students celebrate their degrees and people of distinction are honoured. We orient our academic calendar around these occasions, and they are a tradition that speaks to the heart of our institutional mission. I am delighted that all of you can share this with us. This historic graduation session marks the resumption of in-person summer ceremonies after a 3-year period in which they were hosted online due to the pandemic. It is thus with a strongly renewed sense of occasion that I can welcome and address you directly, and the joy of this ceremony will be enhanced by the opportunity for our students to celebrate their successes with friends, peers, teachers, and loved ones in the usual way. This ceremony also marks our return to the Younger Hall, the home of our graduation ceremonies since it opened in 1929. The Younger Hall closed in July 2019 for an extensive refurbishment that has revitalized this space for the next century of its existence, whilst ensuring that the entire building is fully accessible for all its users. The building's layout and decorations have been refreshed but are intrinsically unchanged, and the shape of the ceremonies remains the same. Our graduates will cross the Younger Hall stage in a style that unites them with the students who have, for almost a century, crossed it before them. The broader graduation tradition which we observe today has taken place at St. Andrews since the second decade of the 15th century when the university was founded. And some of the rituals that were established in the 1400s remain an integral part of the ceremony. These rituals honour our history and signify the assumption of each graduate's place within an institution that has done as much as any other to shape our modern world. We are Scotland's first and foremost university, the third oldest in the English-speaking world, and one of the 25 oldest still operating. Across 609 years, students and academics have gathered here to build and disseminate knowledge, and their ambition has proven resilient to the challenges mounted against them, the religious and political regimes that have reared and crumbled, the pandemics and wars that have beaten at the doors. Ours is not, however, a story of survival, but of leadership. St. Andrews has been at the vanguard of political, cultural, and intellectual developments since our inception, and our people have steered the hands of monarchs and parliaments since our earliest days. The importance of our town predates the university's foundation. St. Andrews was the ecclesiastical capital of medieval Scotland. The 12th century cathedral, the remnants of which will look upon the graduation procession at the end of this ceremony, was the largest and most revered building of its time, a centre for pilgrimage, home to Scotland's senior bishop, and consecrated upon completion in the presence of Robert the Bruce in 1318. University instruction commenced here in May 1410, when our founder, Bishop Henry Wardlaw, invited a delegation of scholars led by Lawrence of Lindorus, a philosopher of renown, to the town. And university status was formalized when Pope Benedict XIII issued papal bulls from Peniscola in August 1413, which were met by great jubilation when carried into town the following February. Walter Bower, a graduate of this university and a major chronicler of 15th century Scotland, described the foundation of our university in his Chronicle of Scottish History, Scotti Chronicon, which also recounts the origins of the town and evinces its place at the heart of our cultural imagination. Legend has it that St. Rule was born in circa 300 AD and was a bishop in Patras, Greece, when he was visited one evening by an angel who instructed him to take the bones of St. Andrew far from the reach of the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great. St. Rule brought the relics, which constituted one tooth, one kneecap, one humerus, and St. Andrew's right hand, to what Bower describes as the islands situated in the ocean beneath the setting sun. And it is around these relics that the religious and academic communities in St. Andrews, which have proven so formative for contemporary Scotland, developed, with St. Andrew later becoming the nation's patron saint. The lyrical origins of our town and university imbued St. Andrews with a poetic sensibility that continues to this day, and our community has been a crucible for literary creativity throughout its 600 years. Walter Bower's mantle was assumed by two alumni later in the 15th century, William Dunbar and Gavin Douglas, who graduated in 1479 and 1494 respectively, and who together constitute two of the most significant poetic voices of early modern Scotland. Dunbar and Douglas's use of Scots was foundational for much literature that followed. Dunbar's poetry was amongst the first items printed in Scotland by the Edinburgh printers Chapman and Miller in 1508, and Douglas was the first translator of Virgil's Latin Aeneid into Scots, completing this in 1513. These were the first in a long line of distinguished poets at our university, including one who would become principal of St. Leonard's College, George Buchanan, the most significant Latin poet of his time. Buchanan was, amongst many occupations, a tutor to Mary Queen of Scots and later King James VI of Scotland, and he served as a poet at Mary's court, in which capacity he wrote many royal poems and masques, including a special commission for the wedding of Mary to Lord Darnley in 1565. Later generations were equally influential. The first major printed anthology of Scottish Latin poetry, Delitiae Poetarum Scotorum, was sponsored by a graduate and early philanthropist of our university, John Scott, in 1637. And while we cannot claim to have educated Robert Burns, who lived degreeless to his end days, St. Andrews was the academic home of the Scottish poet Robert Fergusson, who studied here from 1765 to 1768, and whom Burns held in higher esteem than all other writers. Literary life thrived in more recent centuries, and literary translation in particular was taken up by Willa Muir, an early female graduate of our university in 1910, who, with her husband Edwin, translated works by such luminaries as Hermann Broch and Franz Kafka. The literary culture that the Muirs perpetuated complemented the research activities of our School of English, which today hosts some of the world's foremost literary scholars alongside some of its most celebrated literary practitioners. We are highly distinctive in accommodating poets, dramatists, and creatives, including Professor Don Patterson, OBE, Professor John Burnside, and Professor Zinnie Harris, whose combination of creative ingenuity with critical rigor capitalizes upon the uniquely artistic academic culture that has its origins in our foundation. Returning now to today's ceremony and the rituals which connect us to our forebears. The first of these you have already witnessed, as St. Salvator's Chapel Choir initiated proceedings with a rendition of the Gaudeamus, and the University chaplain, the Reverend Dr. Donald McEwen, delivered the opening prayer. As Vice-Chancellor, I preside over these ceremonies and am invested with the authority to confer or confirm degrees, the presentation of which will immediately follow this introduction. This ceremony recognises that the class of 2021 was unable to gather in person in the usual way to celebrate their graduation, and it provides us with an opportunity to redress that paucity of quintessential festivities 1 year later. We also recognise in the process that the members of this graduating class were formally awarded their degrees by me through virtual conferral ceremonies in June or July 2021. And thus, the graduation ritual will today be one in which degrees are confirmed rather than conferred, with the exception of our honorary graduate, who will be recognised for the first time. This graduation celebration will mirror our conventional ceremonies in every way, although the Latin, which I will use to confirm the degrees, will change very slightly so that we do not risk awarding the same degree twice. The presentation of these awards at bachelor's, master's and doctoral level will constitute the core of this ceremony. I will call upon the deans in turn to present candidates from their respective faculties, and I will then confirm the degree with Latin phrases, one of which, for example, translates as, "I confirm the degree of Master of Arts, and to symbolise this, I place upon you this cap." To most, though, I will simply say, "Et super te," meaning, "and upon you too." The precise moment of confirmation occurs when the graduate's cap, or birrettum, touches the head of the graduate. This academic cap has been used in every ceremony since December 1696, when it was acquired from a St. Andrew's tailor, and it symbolises the assumption of an equal place within our alumni community. When the confirmations are complete, St. Salvator's Chapel Choir will return to deliver a musical interlude, and we are thankful both to the choir and their director, Claire Innes-Hopkins, for the felicity they bring to this occasion. We will then proceed directly to a highlight of these ceremonies, the presentation of honorary awards, with the conferral of an honorary doctorate upon today's guest of honour, Kenny Anderson. To close our ceremony, it is tradition to invite a member of the university to address our graduates and offer some final words of inspiration and congratulation. Today's guest speaker is the Assistant Vice Principal, Dean of Learning and Teaching, Professor Frank Lorenz Müller. The ceremony will then conclude with the benediction and the graduation procession. At St. Andrews, the academics and professional staff who have supported you, our graduates, are immensely proud of your accomplishments. But this ritual does not mark the end of your association with St. Andrews, and you have joined a vital community of alumni who have positively shaped the world around them for 609 years and who support one another in the present. So you are not leaving our community, but taking the next step in your St. Andrews experience. And it is our sincere hope that you will continue to engage as a St. Andrean throughout your life. Decanus Facultatis Artium.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master of Arts with Honours on Fiona Bryden.
Te in gradu magistri artium confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc bretum impono.
Erin Limack.
Et super te.
Amelia Armaday.
Et superte.
Claire Pay.
Et superte.
Benjamin Gardner.
Et superte.
Belen Gomez.
Et superte.
Ashab Ahmad.
Et superte.
Josephine Battle.
Et superte.
Jodie Costello.
Et superte.
Cameron Hest.
Et superte.
Emily Silk.
Et superte.
Emma Sneesick.
Et superte.
Joseph Sperrin.
Et superte.
Alexandra Stevenson.
Et superte.
Laurie Stranger.
Et superte.
Charlotte Jang.
Et superte.
Christian Rosalino.
Et superte.
Jemima Summers.
Et superte.
Avery Kitchens.
Et superte.
Tallulah Bonet.
Et superte.
Charlotte Doherty.
Et superte.
Judith Andrews.
Et superte.
Rory McCallum.
Et superte.
Ursula Goldsmith.
Et superte.
Charles Goodstein Oliver.
Et superte.
Joseph Charawi.
Et superte.
Natalie Norrie.
Et superte.
Yao Chen.
Et superte.
Max Aylmer.
Et superte.
Josephine Duriez.
Et superte.
Katrina Bruce.
Et superte.
Grace Dernan.
Et superte.
Flora Hughes.
Et superte.
Nadia Lee.
Et superte.
Salim Lewis.
Et superte.
Molly Nicholson.
Et superte.
Charlotte Rupp.
Et superte.
Megan Thompson.
Et superte.
Theodora Yakova.
Et superte.
Amy Watts.
Et supete.
Ana Fati Hurizanu.
Et supete.
Georgina Beebe.
Et supete.
Alexis Wilkins.
Et supete.
Louise Colton.
Et supete.
Carrie Kiddy.
Et supete.
Rebecca Hamill.
Et supete.
Oliver Roberts.
Et supete.
Alice Robson.
Et supete.
Oliver Stacey.
Et supete.
Benjamin Ward.
Et supete.
Alexander Brunner.
Et supete.
Ruby Carter.
Et supete.
Stella Coulter.
Et supete.
Tamara de Rezende Leifheit.
Et supete.
Sarah Graham.
Et supete.
Lyle Horn.
Et supete.
Joseph Horsnell.
Et supete.
Samuel Hyatt.
Et supete.
Toby Irwin.
Et supete.
Claire Nelson.
Et supete.
Layal Niazi.
Et supete.
Robbie Rayside.
Et supete.
Quinn Webster.
Et supete.
Georgia Demosthenes.
Et supete.
James Wearmouth.
Et supete.
William Burns.
Et supete.
Jack Engelhardt.
Et supete.
Saskia Giraud Reeves.
Et supete.
Matthew Heritage.
Et supete.
Madeline Reed.
Et supete.
Lucas de Carvalho.
Et supete.
Helena Matza.
Et supete.
Riley Flick.
Et supete.
Harriet Allen.
Et supete.
Rebecca Chandler.
Et supete.
Charlotte Caldwell.
Et supete.
Alyssa McNamara.
Et supete.
Alex Kidd.
Et superte.
Kayleigh Macmillan.
Et superte.
Cameron Tarbett.
Et superte.
Abigail Bellistri.
Et superte.
Georgia Holden.
Et superte.
Teresa Lillis.
Et superte.
Ewan Dolan.
Et superte.
Isabella Zeff.
Et superte.
Geraint Morgan.
Et superte.
Jack Hinchcliffe.
Et superte.
Rebecca Cathcart.
Et superte.
Sean Crailman.
Et superte.
Olivia Gardner-Parlow.
Et superte.
Samuel Hall.
Et superte.
Anna Kerr.
Et superte.
Alice Scott.
Et superte.
Phoebe Stevenson.
Et superte.
Emma Sunter.
Et superte.
Jing Ao Yoon.
Et superte.
Hannah Thompson.
Et superte.
Thomas Burge.
Et superte.
Anna Magdalena Kumbelich.
Et superte.
Elise Lenzi.
Et superte.
Rachel Neighbour.
Et superte.
Anenti Winter.
Et superte.
Grace Burton.
Et superte.
Jessica Dyer.
Et superte.
James Gardner.
Et superte.
Kira Obi.
Et superte.
Sarah Brogan.
Et superte.
Madeline Shepherd.
Et superte.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Bachelor of Arts International with honours on Yu He Fang.
Te in gradu baccalaureae artium confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum superte hoc veretum impono.
Caroline Gant.
Et superte.
Samuel Nussbaum.
Et superte.
Cory Stubanis.
Et superte.
Samantha Bailey.
Et superte.
Amanda Bernier.
Et superte.
Christina Durham.
Et superte.
Elizabeth Cucan.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled No Tears for Spilt Milk, Temporal Neutrality and the Rationality of Future Bias, An Wn Nguyen.
Te in gradu doctoris philosophiae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono. Many congratulations. Decanus Facultatis Medicinae.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master of Science by Research on Quentin Hurst.
Te in gradu Magistri Scientiae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono. Facultatis Scientiae.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Bachelor of Science with Honours on Ryan Lunny.
Te in gradu Baccalaureae Scientiae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Anna Stricker.
Et super te.
Ewan Wakefield.
Et super te.
Samantha Bruce.
Et super te.
Anna Curry.
Et super te.
Lorelei Boston.
Et super te.
Lydia McQuoid.
Et super te.
Olivia King.
Et super te.
Campbell Nelson.
Et super te.
Matthew Phillipson.
Et super te.
James Allington.
Et super te.
Christopher Fu.
Et super te.
Isaac James.
Et super te.
Marley Chin.
Et super te.
Bethan Davis.
Et super te.
Alexander McCabe.
Et super te.
Xiaoshu Yang.
Et super te.
Jordan McEwen.
Et super te.
Cassandra Neen.
Et super te.
Suran Fu.
Et super te.
Georgia Hughes.
Et super te.
Adam Iredale.
Et super te.
Navya Saini.
Et super te.
Ichi Wong.
Et super te.
Philippa Davis.
Et super te.
Rebecca Jones.
Et super te.
Isabella Martin.
Et super te.
Georgia Smith.
Et super te.
Rachel Smith.
Et super te.
Julia Waddington.
Et super te.
Beatrix Curtis.
Et super te.
Ailey McEakin.
Et super te.
Danica Woolgar.
Et super te.
Olivia Cuevas Geiger.
Et super te.
Milo Skelton.
Et super te.
Dean Lundy.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Biochemistry with honours on Sebastian Bulge.
Te in gradu magistri in biochemia confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Radhya Shah.
Et super te.
Caris Williams.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Biology with honours on Sebastiani Zoe Paraskivopoulou.
Te in gradu magistri in biologia confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Chemistry with honours on James Surrey.
Te in gradu magistri in chemia confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Lewis Clough.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Marine Biology with honours on Ailey O'Brien.
Te in gradu magistri in biologia marina confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Mathematics with honours on Kelsey Friedenthal.
Te in gradu magistri in mathematicae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc beretum impono.
Nicholas Crone.
Et super te.
Annie McCoyd.
Et super te.
Benjamin Spires.
Et super te.
Robert Stack.
Et super te.
Ross Whitney Hunter.
Et super te.
Peter Convery.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Physics with honours on Christian de Trafford.
Te in gradu magistri in philosophia naturali confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum superte hoc beretum impono.
Alistair Fennell.
Et super te.
Gavin Lamb.
Et super te.
Daniel Mackay.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Master in Science with Honours on Paul Graham.
Te in gradu magistri in scientiae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum superte hoc beretum impono.
Ross Kelso.
Et super te.
George Wolfline.
Et super te.
Joshua Wood.
Et super te.
Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to confirm the degree of Doctor of Philosophy for a thesis entitled Improved Methods for Estimating Spatial and Temporal Trends from Point Transect Survey Data. Richard Kamp.
Te in gradu doctoris philosophiae confirmo, cuius rei in symbolum superte hoc beretum impono. Many congratulations.
For a thesis entitled A Mindful Look at the Past, Mindfulness and Emotional Responding upon Autobiographical Memory Retrieval in Individuals Vulnerable to Depression, Alexandra Isham.
Et super te. Many congratulations. I call upon the University Chaplain, Reverend Dr. Donald McEwen.
Vice-Chancellor, it is my privilege to present for the degree of Doctor of Music honoris causa, Kenny Anderson. Kenny Anderson, or King Creosote, the name under which he performs, is a singer and songwriter born in St Andrews, a recording artist who has released over 40 albums, and a tireless supporter and promoter of music. The last time I saw King Creosote on this very stage was at a festival called the Eye of the Dug in 2012, when he played alongside fellow St Andrean Katie Tunstall. I doubt that he, or anyone else that day, expected he would return here on an occasion like this, in the town he has always loved, and which has inspired so much of his music. Kenny was brought up in a musical household. His father, Billy Anderson, is an accordionist, band leader, and teacher, and his brothers Ian and Gordon have also had musical careers. Kenny attended the local secondary school, Madras College, and then studied electronics and electrical engineering at Edinburgh University. But his heart was in music, and on graduating, he busked his way across Europe, forming the skiffle group, the Scooby-Doo Orchestra. When that ended, as did a later band called the Khartoum Heroes. Great names, aren't they? Kenny became a solo artist, performing and recording songs from 1998 on acoustic guitar and accordion, often at home, drawing on folk and electronica, with tape loops and samples, making something uniquely his own. King Creosote's songs touch on the realities of ordinary lives, relationships gone awry, false starts and wrong turnings, struggles in mind, and moments of exaltation. Often laced with humour, they revel in wordplay and are always sung with conviction in Kenny's beautiful, revealing, emotional vocals. As the albums poured forth, 3 or 4 a year, initially released on his own Fence label, so the Fence Collective grew. A gang of bands and artists drawn to Kenny's love for the underdog, about as far from corporate polish as can be imagined. A Fence gig or festival would usually be in a village hall in Fife, often in Anstruther, with 5 or 6 bands on the bill, musicians joining in with the others' sets. Kenny on the sound, Fisher and Donaldson fudge donuts sustaining the audience. King Creosote's reputation grew beyond the East Neuk of Fife. He briefly flirted with commercial success with the album Bombshell, and in 2011 he was nominated for the Mercury Music Prize for his collaboration with John Hopkins' Diamond Mine. Kenny has said that he writes songs with nostalgia built in, and so he was the perfect choice to write the evocative music for From Scotland with Love, a beautiful and moving documentary film released in 2014, featuring archive film of Scots at work, in dance halls, playing as children on the streets, on holiday at the seaside, or leaving for a new life. Still writing, performing, and recording, King Creosote continues to give pleasure to audiences in Fife and far beyond, in songs rooted in the lives of people we would usually call unsung. Vice-Chancellor, in recognition of his major contribution to music and culture in Scotland, I invite you to confer the degree of Doctor of Music honoris causa on Kenny Anderson.
Just wait for a moment. More applause in a minute. Te ad gradum doctoris musicae honoris causa promovio, cuius rei in symbolum super te hoc viretum impono. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Donald. That has to be one of the greatest laureation addresses of all time. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the Senatus Academicus, who have somehow agreed to confer this doctorate on yours truly, and in particular, the anonymous Barty Crouch, whoever he or she is, who stuck my name into the goblet of fire. I thought Barty Crouch was one of the good guys, but my daughter Louie tells me otherwise, so apologies if I've upset the academic. I'd also like to thank my mum and dad. One of my earliest memories, one of my earliest magical memories is of my dad dragging an accordion off into the sunset amidst like a flurry of slamming doors and exhaust fumes and tires squealing, and then he'd return many hours after my bedtime with this cohort of troubadours that were all singing and smoking and drinking and swearing. And I would sit at the top of the stairs thinking, this has to be the life for me. And then my mum would have to send me back to bed, and then with a nocturnal dad, some of you may have nocturnal dads, but then my mum had to do the day job. So she got us to school, got me off to the boys' brigade, even yesterday found me a white bow tie. That's my mum. And, but neither of them put any pressure on me to do well at school. and as a thrawn individual, I chose to do quite well at school. I had a very good short-term memory, and I loved what was happening outside the window. So in 1985, I left Edinburgh University with a degree, much like you guys today, and decided that it was time for me to drag my own accordion off into the sunset, and I've been doing that for 33 years. Man and boy. So, regards some advice for you all. I'm going to say good luck. You've all proved that you can use your brains. You've proved that to yourselves, to your mum and dad, to the senatus academicus. But maybe as you go forward into your lives, maybe listen to your hearts, because that's where the magic lies. It's in the heart. So yeah, thank you so much, and good luck. We all get there in the end. Thank you.
I call upon the Assistant Vice Principal Dean of Learning and Teaching, Professor Frank Lorenz-Muller.
Nowhere near as charming, I'm afraid. Vice-Chancellor, colleagues, honoured guests, and above all, dear, freshly confirmed graduates of the University of St. Andrews. Graduation addresses usually begin with congratulations to those who have just received their degrees. Today, however, I want to start with a heartfelt expression of gratitude to our former students, to their families and friends. On behalf of everyone who works for this fine university, I'd like to thank you all for making the effort to return here to celebrate your years at St. Andrews with us. We are not kidding ourselves about how easy it is to get here. There is effectively one road into St. Andrews, and that one road routinely clogs up at Guardbridge. The rail network gave up on us in 1969. And as for docking your cruise ship down in the harbour, forget it. So we do not get a lot of passing trade. If you are in St. Andrews, that's because you wanted to come here, and you were not put off by the journey. That makes the compliment you're paying the university by being here today very special. Your happiness, your just pride in your achievements, your conspicuous talents, your ability to cross the stage without causing structural damage to this refurbished hall, and your impeccable dress sense, all of this adds luster to the occasion and reminds all of us on this side of the stage and the many helpers behind the scenes what our work is really about. It is about supporting generation after generation of remarkable young individuals to grow in confidence, maturity, knowledge, skillfulness, and scholarly acumen. It is our sincere wish that we can make this process as happy and fulfilling as possible for our students. We also hope that in the course of their time in St. Andrews, they will succeed in becoming active parts of a community whose members support and learn from each other. Your role in today's ceremony amounts to more, though, than just a welcome indication that your time in St. Andrews has left you connected to the university, to the town, and to each other. It also forms part of an ongoing building process. More than a century ago, the great French thinker Émile Durkheim, the father of the academic discipline of sociology, pointed out how important rituals were for giving cohesion to social groups. He observed that rituals generate a shared ecstasy that was needed to affirm collectively held beliefs. Now, I guess this is all a bit tame for ecstasy, but this does not take away from the fact that though we are here to affirm joyously, if not yet ecstatically, some of our most important shared beliefs, we still need to spell them out. That learning and academic achievement should be celebrated. That such moments of celebration should be shared with those to whom we are indebted for their love, support, and trust, our families and friends. and that we acknowledge and respect the work and learning of those who have come before us, and hope to pass on to the current and to future generations a world in which untrammeled learning for the benefit of all will be possible and will continue to be cherished. The splendid ritual serves to make these messages more enchanting and unforgettable. But if it does not serve to tie us all more into a community by inviting us to reflect on and affirm the beliefs that are important to us, then this wonderful event would be somewhat less special. In this summer of 2022, we have more reason than ever to reflect on the value of community and on how we express our communal living. For 2 years, the COVID pandemic put a stop to events like this. It made us fearful of each other's breath and touch. It banished us into our individual rooms and chained us to our laptops. Singers fell silent. People stared nervously at carbon dioxide monitors, and the greeting hello was largely replaced with a weary "you're on mute." We soon realized that this lack of direct human contact dulled our lives. Across the university, we noticed that many students struggled with the sudden isolation, with being cut off from their friendship groups, and with having to study all by themselves. Students had to forego those all-important community-affirming rituals, not just old favorites like snoozing together through an early morning lecture or packing into cafes at lunchtime, but also practicing presentations in front of each other or meeting up in person for revision or support groups. Let me add that it was not just students who suffered these privations, but the whole university community. We've all gone through tough times. We've worried about sick loved ones that we were not allowed to visit, or about our bored kids resenting the homeschooling we inflicted on them. And let us not forget that many families that belong to this university community were touched by serious illness and even loss. It is not meant to belittle this pain when I say that there is some consolation to be drawn from looking back over these 2 years of COVID misery from the glittering vantage point of this ceremony. First, we should note with some pride that we have come through this together. All of us remained committed to our scholarly mission, even when facing adversity. The university tried its hardest to offer you the best teaching available, and you generously repaid our efforts and rewarded yourselves with the great achievement we are here to celebrate today. You gained your degrees, academic degrees from one of the finest universities in the world, fair and square. You demonstrated flexibility, ingenuity, forbearance, and tenacity. You did yourselves proud, but also your teachers and those here in this hall whose support and care have enabled you to grow into successful, resilient individuals. For this, I offer you and them my wholehearted congratulations. When contemplating our journey through the COVID years, we can draw some more further solace from a famous dictum by the Austrian-British philosopher Karl Popper, who declared that all life is problem-solving. Following this line of thought, the difficulties and challenges we had to confront and overcome did not really diminish our lives. Rather, they presented us with an opportunity to respond to its call even more intensively. It is important, though, not to lose sight of two realizations that absolutely belong here. First, that we must be sensitive when appreciating others' problems and be ready to admire how everyone seeks to resolve them in their own fashion. And secondly, that we need to be able to offer and accept kindness and help to and from others in our problem-solving lives. We did well because we live in and draw strength from communities formed by many different helpful connections. I'm sure thus equipped and prepared, you will live well and solve many more problems. To be honest, looking at the world right now, we urgently need some great problem solvers, and you are the extraordinary individuals who will step up to the challenge. No pressure, but we're counting on you. For that, graduates of 2021, on behalf of the University of St. Andrews, I once again offer you our gratitude, our heartfelt congratulations, and every good wish for your future. Thank you.
Please stand for the benediction.
Gratia Domini nostri Iesu Christi, et caritas Dei, et communicatio Spiritus Sancti, sit cum omnibus nobis, in saecula saeculorum. Amen.